Something explosive has just surfaced from inside FIFA, and now the football world is asking serious questions. A private message, reportedly sent from the highest levels of world football directly to Argentina, has leaked, and it was never meant to become public. But now that it is out, the reaction has been intense, because many fans believe this could be the closest thing to evidence behind the complaints they have been making throughout the entire tournament. Think about the situation for a second. An organization announces a serious investigation into a person over alleged violent conduct. A prosecutor is involved, the process is moving forward, the footage exists, and millions of people are watching every single move. Everyone expects the organization to stay completely neutral while the case plays out. But then, behind the scenes, a private message appears, showing the leader of that same organization sending a message filled with congratulations and support to the person at the center of the controversy. That is the part that has caused such a storm. According to reports from the Argentine media, the leaked communication showed a completely different side of FIFA compared to the public image it was presenting. While officials spoke about fairness and neutrality in front of the cameras, this hidden message made fans question what was really happening away from the spotlight. For many supporters, this was not just another football controversy. It became a moment that reopened old debates about whether certain teams receive different treatment when the pressure is at its highest. The leak created a wave of frustration because fans felt they were seeing a side of football politics they were never supposed to see. Now, let's break down what was actually inside that message, because the timing is what turned this from a normal congratulatory note into a massive talking point. The reaction became even louder when people looked at when the message was sent and what was happening around FIFA at that exact moment. According to reports, just days after Argentina lost the World Cup final to Spain, FIFA President Gianni Infantino sent a personal letter to Claudio Tapia, the president of the Argentine Football Association. The message later appeared in Argentine media and was reported by the Daily Mail, turning what could have stayed private into a worldwide debate. In the letter, Infantino praised Argentina's silver medal performance, describing the team's tournament journey as impressive and saying the Albiceleste had played a major role in creating a memorable competition that captured the attention of millions of fans. He also shared congratulations with the players, head coach Lionel Scaloni, the coaching team, the medical staff, and supporters who followed the team throughout the tournament. The message ended with Infantino saying Argentina had a bright future ahead and signing off with a personal tone of friendship and respect. On the surface, it looked like a standard message between football officials after a major tournament, but the controversy came from one specific detail that fans could not ignore. The letter praised Argentina's professionalism, their dedication, and their attention to detail. And that one word suddenly became the center of the conversation, because the timing raised eyebrows. While FIFA was publicly trying to maintain the image of a fair and neutral organization, this private message was being viewed by critics as something completely different. Here is where the situation became even more complicated. The message praising Argentina's professionalism was reportedly sent around the same period when FIFA's own disciplinary process was moving forward regarding incidents connected to the World Cup final. That is why the leak created such a strong reaction. Fans were not only looking at the words inside the letter, they were looking at the calendar, the circumstances, and the questions surrounding whether FIFA's public position matched what was happening privately. And that is where the controversy really started to explode, because critics pointed to the events after the final whistle and argued that the behavior on the field did not match the word professionalism used in the leaked message. After Spain celebrated their victory, several heated moments reportedly unfolded. Nahuel Molina was accused of making contact with Rodri during the chaos. Leandro Paredes was involved in a confrontation with Eric Garcia, while Paredes and Thiago Almada were also involved in a clash that sent Gavi to the ground. On top of that, Argentina assistant coach Roberto Ayala was shown in footage appearing to grab Spain's Dani Olmo around the neck area during the heated scenes. FIFA later confirmed that it was looking into incidents involving possible misconduct, offensive behavior, and potential violations of fair play rules. That announcement only added more fuel to the debate, because the question many fans started asking was simple. How can an organization investigate serious incidents involving a team, while at nearly the same time sending a private message praising that same team's professionalism. That contradiction became the center of the entire discussion. The issue was not only the letter itself, it was everything surrounding it. Throughout the tournament, some supporters had already questioned refereeing decisions, VAR reviews, foul calls, and disciplinary choices involving Argentina. Some believe those moments created the impression that Argentina was receiving more favorable treatment than others. FIFA had repeatedly pushed back against those accusations and maintained that decisions were based on football rules, not favoritism. But when the private message appeared, many critics felt it gave them a new reason to question the organization's actions behind closed doors. The letter did not create the controversy by itself. Instead, it became another piece in a much bigger argument that had been building throughout the tournament. For supporters who already felt something was wrong, the timing of that message made the situation even more difficult to ignore. And the reason this message caused such a huge reaction is because it came with a signature, a date, and a history that made the wording feel even more controversial. For many critics, the warm praise did not exist in isolation. They connected it to previous moments involving FIFA and Argentina that were still fresh in people's minds. After the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, FIFA opened disciplinary proceedings over Argentina's post-match celebrations, including the trophy gesture and comments directed toward Kylian Mbappe. The final punishment was a financial penalty of roughly $25,000, with no individual player receiving a major personal suspension. To many fans, that outcome felt extremely light. Their view was simple. FIFA investigated, announced consequences, and then moved on without serious action against the people involved. So when the leaked 2026 letter appeared and praised Argentina's professionalism while another review process was happening, many supporters did not see it as just a normal message between football officials. They saw it as another moment, adding to a growing belief that Argentina had been treated differently by football's governing body. And the criticism was not coming from only one side. Several major football figures also spoke out about the scenes after the final. Gary Neville described the behavior as unacceptable during live coverage. Alan Shearer also criticized the scenes, saying that kind of behavior had no place in the sport. Joe Hart argued that Argentina could not complain about the criticism they received. Even Zlatan Ibrahimovic, known for his strong personality and direct opinions, called Paredes' actions unprofessional. That is what made the situation so unusual. Many people watching the same footage focused on the same issue, but they reached a completely different conclusion from FIFA's private message. The word professionalism became the biggest talking point, because critics felt it was being used in two completely opposite ways. Meanwhile, Dani Olmo, who was involved in one of the heated moments with Argentina's coaching staff, rejected what he considered a weak apology from Roberto Ayala. Olmo said he had done nothing to provoke the situation and focused instead on the responsibility football players and staff have as examples for younger fans watching the game. That was the reaction coming from many people connected to football. Players, former stars, and commentators were talking about responsibility, disappointment, and the feeling that a serious line had been crossed. Across the football world, many voices looked at the scenes and called them unacceptable. But then came the confusing part. While many people criticized what happened, FIFA's own president had used words like magnificent and praised Argentina's professionalism in a private message. And that created the biggest question of all. How can the same organization responsible for discipline appear to be celebrating the team at the center of a controversy? Then, as the pressure started growing, Infantino responded by pushing back against his critics. In a lengthy 15-slide statement, the FIFA president attacked those questioning the tournament and accused some journalists and fans of spreading negativity, false claims, and unfair criticism. He argued that some people were so focused on finding problems that they failed to appreciate the positive moments of the competition. He even suggested that his critics should take time to reflect, meditate, or pray. But one specific claim immediately caught attention. Infantino stated that the World Cup had been completed with 0 incidents, 0 hostility, and 0 violence. That statement sparked a major backlash because many people believed it ignored several serious situations connected to the tournament. Critics pointed to reports of deaths during celebrations in Mexico City after a group stage victory, the tragic death of a young South African player after returning home, reports of increased domestic abuse concerns in England during the tournament period, and the chaotic scenes after the final whistle that FIFA itself was reviewing. For many fans, the issue was not simply about one statement or one message. It was about whether football's leadership was acknowledging the same reality that supporters, players, and commentators were seeing in front of them. And that difference in perspective only made the controversy grow even bigger. And the controversy did not stop there, because critics also pointed to the people who were unable to fully take part in the tournament. Several situations involving travel restrictions and access issues created even more debate around FIFA's claim that everything had gone smoothly. Iran's head coach said his team faced some of the biggest challenges at the tournament, claiming that 11 federation officials and staff members were denied entry into the United States. A Somali referee was also reportedly stopped from entering the country, while fans from some nations faced restrictions connected to broader travel policies. There were also separate controversies outside the stadiums. A Paraguayan senator faced criticism after making racist comments toward France star Kylian Mbappe, creating another uncomfortable moment during the tournament. So when Infantino described the entire event as free from incidents and criticized those raising concerns, many people argued that his version of events did not match what others had experienced. To his critics, it felt like FIFA was protecting its own image instead of confronting the problems being discussed around the tournament. The same frustration appeared when the conversation turned to refereeing and disciplinary decisions, especially those involving Argentina. Infantino dismissed concerns about questionable calls and unusual disciplinary outcomes by saying that controversial decisions happen regularly in top-level football. He also questioned why some of the same countries using those systems were the ones criticizing them. For many supporters, that response felt like it avoided the bigger questions. Instead of addressing specific complaints, they believed FIFA was simply defending the system. One example that continued to draw attention was the Balogun situation, where a red card suspension was reportedly changed after outside involvement. UEFA had previously described that decision as unusual and difficult to understand. Critics wanted more explanation about how such decisions were reached. But instead of a detailed response, many felt they received a message focused more on defending FIFA's reputation than accepting criticism. The frustration grew even more, because Infantino had not taken questions from reporters since before the tournament began. His previous public appearance included comments telling people to relax and enjoy the competition. But as criticism increased, that calm message appeared very different to many fans who wanted answers, transparency, and accountability from football's leadership. The pressure around FIFA is no longer coming only from fans, former players, and football commentators. Now, questions are also coming from inside the political world. A senior US Congressman Jamie Raskin has reportedly called on Infantino and FIFA to provide records connected to communications with Donald Trump and members of his administration, as well as visitor information from FIFA locations, including an office located in Trump Tower. Raskin also questioned FIFA's relationship with the White House and raised concerns about decisions made during the tournament. He pointed to FIFA creating a new peace award connected to Trump, which he criticized heavily in his letter, and questioned whether political relationships played any role in controversial decisions, including the Balogun disciplinary situation and other legal matters involving football officials. The White House responded by strongly rejecting Raskin's accusations, calling him a minor figure in the debate and praising Trump's role in what it described as a historic and record-breaking tournament. That political battle is still far from settled, and both sides have presented completely different versions of events. But for FIFA, the bigger issue is the timing. A sports organization that spends an entire tournament telling the world everything is under control does not usually end up facing a week filled with a leaked private message, angry reactions from supporters, and demands for official records all at once. That is why critics say this situation is bigger than one letter or one controversy. They believe it reflects what happens when a major institution loses touch with the people questioning its decisions. At the same time, it is important to acknowledge another side of the story. The 2026 World Cup was also praised by many for delivering memorable moments, huge crowds, and exciting football. Infantino supporters argue that the tournament itself was a major achievement, and that FIFA had every reason to celebrate the event. So, while the controversy around leadership, decisions, and transparency continues, there are also people who believe the tournament should be judged by the football itself and the global celebration it created. Nearly 39 million people in the United States watched the final, making it a record-breaking moment for the tournament. And beyond the controversy, there were many moments that reminded people why football is loved around the world. Rival fans celebrated together, cities were filled with energy, and the competition delivered unforgettable matches and emotional stories. Organizing an event of that scale across 3 countries while dealing with a complicated global environment was a huge challenge. FIFA supporters argue that successfully managing something so massive deserves recognition, and that is a point worth considering. When it comes specifically to the leaked letter, there is also another possible explanation. FIFA has a long tradition of sending messages to teams that reach major stages of the World Cup, and congratulating a finalist after a tournament is not automatically proof of unfair treatment or hidden motives. There is also a technical argument that praising an entire team's performance and investigating specific individuals for actions during a confrontation are 2 separate matters. Both things can happen at the same time. Argentina reached the final, produced memorable performances, and Lionel Scaloni's squad has been widely recognized as one of the strongest teams of this generation. Acknowledging their football achievements does not mean ignoring controversy, and ignoring their success would also create an unfair picture. That is the more generous interpretation of the situation, and it deserves to be heard. But the reason many critics still remained frustrated comes down to timing and leadership. Even if the letter was simply a standard message, they argue that sending it while a disciplinary investigation was beginning required more awareness. For many fans, the problem was not just the congratulations itself, it was the lack of recognition of the controversy happening at the same time. And when that was followed by claims that the tournament had 0 incidents and criticism came only from people spreading negativity, many supporters felt FIFA was dismissing legitimate questions instead of addressing them directly. Leadership is about understanding the moment and responding the right way. And this was the moment where FIFA needed to show that it took the controversy seriously, that every team would be treated equally, and that criticism would be handled with maturity and transparency. Instead, critics saw a completely different picture. They saw a president praising the professionalism of a team, while that same team was connected to an active investigation. They saw claims that the tournament had 0 incidents despite multiple serious situations being discussed around the world, and they saw FIFA attacking critics instead of answering the questions being raised. That combination is what turned a simple letter into a much bigger controversy. Because the real debate is not just about one message. It is about trust. Fans want to believe that the people running football are neutral, consistent, and willing to hold everyone accountable, no matter the team or the reputation. Argentina's achievements on the pitch cannot be erased, but neither can the criticism surrounding the moments after the final. Both sides of the story exist, and that is exactly why FIFA's response mattered so much. So now the big question remains, was this simply a routine diplomatic message that landed at the worst possible time, or did it reveal the kind of favoritism many supporters have been questioning for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear where you stand. And when FIFA's disciplinary report finally arrives, I'll break down what happens, who gets punished, and what it means for the future of football. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with other football fans, and I'll see you on the next one.